Hello everybody, I'm going to do lab number 2, a walkthrough here using QGIS. Let me check real quick, make sure my computer is recording. Yes, we are recording. Okay, so lab number 2 for the GIS applications, Epi applications of GIS. February 22nd, 4 p.m., long day. But anyways, I wanted to show you guys, this is the empty project here. It's a project template, and notice how it has already the projection, and that's what helps when you make the map to have the scale bar be the right size. If you start a project from up here, from project new, you begin without a template. You can always change it in the settings of that project, but it's better to just have it here. Okay, so I'm gonna just start it here, and then just so I don't lose my place, I'm going to call it lab 2 demo on February 22, palindrome. Save that. Okay, and then I'm going to add a layer. So I'm going to add the data layer first. And some of you asked about CSV versus Excel. Either works. It's better to have it in CSV because it doesn't bring all the formatting, but you see that it worked fine for this. So I'm going to add the data layer. I'm going to say only the data, not the indicators, the description of the indicators, nor the z-scores that I calculated by hand, because I'm a bit of a nerd. So here you go, and it's already showing up. It's already showing up here, so I can go ahead and right-click, open attribute table, and see the attributes, right? Harbor East Little Italy was the one that was not in here. I made some calculations on my own. Okay, layer, add layer. I'm going to add another layer, and we're going to add the shapefile. And remember, all your other files that came with the shapefile should be in the same folder. Otherwise, QGIS cannot read the data that accompanies all of that. You can mess with some of this, but just leave all the defaults. They work just fine. And it's going to tell you that you have in the project, you have one CRS, right? And this one comes with NAD83, but the destination is different. It's going to do the transformation for you. And so that's fine. You say okay. And here it is. All right, and so you can look at the layer properties, and you see that it's still as NAD83 Maryland feet US, but it is now projected onto the project. So it's different. It transformed it basically. Okay, so one of the first things that I like to do with this is that I'm gonna make some copies of this. So I'm gonna duplicate the layer, and I'm gonna duplicate the layer again, and I'm gonna duplicate the layer again. I'm gonna duplicate it 5 times for each one of the 5 indicators that I've chosen. All right, and I'm gonna name it for each indicator. So I'm gonna rename this layer. I'm gonna rename it percent African American population, or something like that. I'm gonna rename this one median household income, and I'm gonna rename this one percent prenatal. The next one is going to be percent lead testing, and the last one I'm gonna name it homicides. You can rename it to whatever you guys picked as your indicators. Okay, and then this one I'm gonna make one more copy. I'm gonna make one more copy, and I'm going to name it. Well, no, I don't need to do another one and do the index. But I mean, let's just do the index off of this one. That way, you leave the master one. You can always fall back on it, right? So index origin. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do various things here. I'm going to look at the percent African American population, and I'm going to double click on that, see, and look at the symbology. I'm going to do a graduated. I'm going to do it based on percent. Oh, what did I forget to do? I forgot to join the data, right? And so it's fine. We'll have to do it one by one, but that's okay. Join the data and then bring it together. So let's just join the data with HNI data, join units in the target field CSAs. And hit OK. And then now we can go in and do the symbology. Graduated symbol. I'm not going to do this for each one of them. I'm just showing you my process. Your process could be a little bit different. % African American. You can use whatever color ramps. I don't like to associate green and red because they're good and bad, and the proportion of African Americans in a community statistical area is not the bad. The indicator, it's an indicator of the disparity towards that community, not the indicator of the community being necessarily bad. So for some of these, I like to use different things. So I'm gonna just use blues in this case. Equal count, quantile, and we have all these other options. 5 classes. I'm going to classify it. I'm going to see if it makes sense, right? 2% to 18.5%, and then all the way to 97.7%. Histogram. This is how it breaks out. I can change the histogram number, right, to look at different bins. It's giving me the mean, standard deviation. Okay, and I'm just going to go ahead and apply that and say okay. So again, you can see the areas that have a higher concentration of African Americans in the population. There's one here that is missing. Very interesting. We don't have data on it. So remember in the lab, or at least in the discussion, we asked about what to do with missing data. Okay, so that is what we're gonna do with that one. And then the index origin, I'm also gonna join it, remember, because I forgot to do it on the first one. Just made myself more work, but it's pretty easy to do, right? Units, CSA, and OK, and OK. And then we're gonna make the index out of this one. And so I have all the other copies. I would go ahead and do, so median household income, joins, add, units, CSA, okay, and then apply it. Symbology, graduated, median household income again. Just because something is more wealthy, so let's just use money, right? And you can use Viridis, which it's not bad, but you might want to invert it. But let's just use green for money, right? More money, less money. Again, you don't want to attribute less money as something bad, right? It's just more money and less money. And for this one, I'm gonna just use something else. I'm gonna use Jenks. Let's look at the histogram real quick. Classify. Oh, sorry. Median household income, and classify, and histogram, and load the values. So you see kind of a nice normal distribution with some outliers over here, some CSAs that have more income, but definitely some very low income CSAs. And you have it here, and we say okay. So now we are going to look at that, and there you go. Again, missing data, right? It's probably a misspelling of the CSA. It's something that I would go in and look at. All right, so that's how you do it for each, and then I'll show you in a little bit how to put them together on a print layout. So then finally the index. So we're gonna go here, go to the plugin, GeoPublic Health, analyze, composite index, homicide, right? Higher the value indicator, the better the conditions. No, higher the indicator, the worse the conditions. And median household income, higher the value, better the conditions. % African American, higher the value, worse the conditions. Sorry. Index origin. Let's start again. Composite index. Analyze composite index. Not from that layer, but we're going to do it from the index origin layer. And percent African American, higher the value, worse the conditions. Median household income, higher the value, better the conditions. Homicide, higher the value, worse the conditions. Percent of children tested with elevated blood level, higher the value, worse the conditions. And then prenatal care, higher the value, better the conditions. So you do one more check: African American, household income, homicide, tested. All right, and you're going to save your composite index as a UHN. You can name it whatever you want. You can save it as another shape. Low priority, high priority. Again, worse, bad. It's all about the colors, right? Depending on how you want it to be. So I'm gonna use white and red. And here you see, again, it filled in the one, so there wasn't missing data for that part. You see the butterfly, right? You see how it is, and you can go in here, and the symbology is there for the UHN. You can go ahead and look at it. Whenever you standardize something, you're gonna get a very normal, well, close to very normal distribution. You can classify it as you want. You can change the values. You can make it straight from minus 6.5 to 6.5, right? And just to make it look neat in the legend. So minus 6.5 to minus 3.2. And you can just go on down the line and change those numbers. Minus 3.21, 2 or 22 to minus 0.74. It's all a matter of personal preference, right? If you want to keep your significant units consistent, then that's 50, and that is 22, right? And so on and so forth, all the way down the line. Again, personal preference. Okay, so we're gonna rename this index of unmet health needs. And here it is. It's done and ready to go. So now I'm going to go to the project, print layout, that to demo 2 to February 22. And here we're gonna add, for example, I did percent African American, median household income. So I'm gonna put those two side by side. And it always will do the one that is the map that is active. So, so I'm going to go in here and do that one and that one, and that's what I'm going to use in the layout. And item properties. All right. Map 1, and I believe the other one was from map 2. Should be green. It's not. Okay. Map 1, we're gonna lock it. Map 2, gonna make it map 2. Okay, map 1 is that. Items, add items, add map. It's probably not gonna let me do it. Yeah, so this is map 2. Map 1 is locked. Map 2, it's not coming over from map 2. Item properties. This is another part. You use Project CRS also for the, you'll see for the 1,500 meters, 1,500 miles, because it didn't. Yeah, move it all the way. Project CRS. Project CRS. I could edit all of this out, right? Yeah, still not showing it. I did this right the other day, and now it's being a. Now it's being a jerk. All right, let's see what's going on. Okay, so I had to do some magic. Let me check, make sure I'm recording. All right. Okay, so I figured it out. I remember the whole thing about the project. Anyways, here's the map. Instead of use Project CRS, you set the CRS here, and you make sure that they all have the WGS 84, and it kind of makes it a little bit flatter. Remember, you're putting something spherical on a piece of paper, and then you add your scale power, and now you put it in miles, and you can add some more to make it a little bit wider. I like to use 5 because the city of Baltimore is about 9.8 miles across, so that makes it a little bit better. You want to make it a little bit taller. And so this is the percent of African American, right? And you can just fit that over on the side. It's all about the projections. A North Star. Okay, and then if we want to add the second map, okay, so I'm going to lock it in, and then I'm going to go back to my project, and I'm going to use median household income, and then I'm going to add that map. And there you go. I'm going to make it a little bit the same size as the other one. You can look at the sizes and just, use Project CRS. No, we want to use again the same coordinate reference system. It's going to make it a little bit flatter, and that's how you add. And then let's say I want to add the index. So now I have map number 2. I'm going to lock it. I'm going to add the index, and I go back to my project. Now I have the index. And unlock all of them so I can make them the right size. I knew that was going to happen. All right, you guys get the point. Don't unlock them unless you absolutely have to lock them, because then the active one in the background is the one that becomes the active one over here. So this is how you use the print layout, and then you add text You add your title, and under font color you can use whatever font color, but under font is where you find the size for it and the appearance. And the position, middle, center. Okay, this is how you do it. You go ahead and save that, or print it, or use it for your PowerPoints. Okay, so I hope that answered that question about the scale bar and how do you put different maps on. Remember, it's whatever's active back here that becomes the main one, unless it's locked into position. And then, and then it'll be the one that gets in there. I'm just gonna save this. Another thing that you can do to check your projection is use the measuring and miles, and then I'm going to measure from there to the other side, and it's measuring it as 9.8 miles, or almost 9.8 miles. So it's correct, whether I use Cartesian or ellipsoidal. So it's not measuring like 1,000 miles or something like that was measuring because it had the wrong projection. And if you do need to change the projection, then you would go to the tools and reproject the layer. Okay. And that's it. Thank you so much.